So yesterday on my Instagram story, I had asked, what does a door and a leash have in common? And I got several answers. One was like, keeps my dog safe. One was like a portal to new dimensions, fun stuff like that. Which is kind of true, especially about keeping the dog safe. In my opinion, the thing that the door and the leash have in common is it's two of the biggest areas that I see people arguing with their dogs and losing. Okay? And what I mean by that is most people don't want their dogs barging out the door. Most people don't want their dogs pulling them on a leash. Yet, they still allow the dogs to barge out open doors. They still allow the dogs to pull them when they're on the leash. And so, those are the two things that two manners that I always want to start when I'm working with the dogs. Okay? I want them to understand that they cannot be pulling on the leash. If they feel pressure on the leash, there's communication going on, and they need to figure out how to relieve that pressure. If they don't know how to relieve that pressure, I have not done a very good job of teaching them how to relieve pressure. Same thing with doors. I want them to understand that just because a door is open doesn't mean they get to go running through it. Okay? And a lot of people, they set themselves up for failure with this, especially with the door. They put their dog right in front of the door, and then they reach over their dog, trying to open up the door, and as they open up the door, so they reach over their dog, and the first thing they do is they open up the door, and the door hits the dog, and the dog jumps up and gets startled, gets spooked. Or, what they'll do is they'll open up the door, and there's no barrier between the dog running out the door and them, so they have no way to really stop that. And so the dog just thinks, open door, let's go, and so you have to set yourself up. I always put like a 3 to 5 foot boundary between me and the door, or the dog and the door, and I put myself in the middle of that, so that way when I do open up the door, if they go to barge out the door, I can block them. I can say, hey, no, that's not what we do. And then once the door is open and they're calm, I can release them. And how I release them just depends on the situation, If they're on a leash, I'm going to tell them let's go because I don't want them pulling me and yanking me out the door. But if it's, say, like we're going out into a fenced yard and it's their chance to run and free and play and do all that stuff, I'm going to give them a release cue so that they know that they can go run, play, and do what they need to do out there. Okay? Same thing with the leash. If the dog is on a leash and I am holding the leash, I always want there to be slack in that leash. Okay? If there's not slack in that leash, I'm not doing a good job of communicating to my dog what I want. And if we start with teaching the dog door manners and leash manners, we can start working on them, understanding other things, like it's not okay to jump on people. So, that's what doors and leashes have in common. It's the two areas that people argue with their dogs the most and lose the most. Start teaching your dogs to respect those, and it will go a long way to bettering your relationship. Go have fun with your dogs.